your college performance does not relate to the National Football League. It never does.
They played side by side with each other, and he wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers. That's an issue. That's a major issue.
It wasn't that he wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers.
Ever got to Texas?
It wasn't that he wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers. It was Quinn Ewers' program, which Steve Sarkisian made very clear the entirety of the time that Arch Manning was in Austin. So for you to argue that because Ewers is a 7th-round pick, Arch Manning is not that good and not deserving of being first overall is asinine. It is wrong. It is incorrect.
I told you he's going to be number 1 overall. My whole thing was I'm buying him.
You're doing your thing now where you double down on a take that is incorrect.
The best quarterback prospect to ever hit college football can't play.
He's not, though. There were 2 perfectly rated quarterbacks in the history of the sport.
Quinn Ewers couldn't even play at Ohio State. He couldn't even play at Ohio State.
Quinn Ewers. Go look it up.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The WNBA investigating alleged racist comments towards Angel Reese. Plus, is this the end for the tush push as the NFL owners finally meet? Hi, everyone, and welcome to Front Office Sports Today from FOS Studios here in New York City. I'm Baker Machado.
And I'm Renee Washington. The Tush Push is here to stay, and so are we. Happy Monday. We've got a lot to get into, including a great interview with tennis star Donna Vekic. So let's jump right in first with the shoot-around.
Yes, indeed. Let's start with golf as Scottie Scheffler won the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow on Sunday. That to seal his 3rd major title and a tournament record $3.4 million first-place prize. Now, the number 1 golfer in the world the last 2 years increased his career earnings to $81.9 million with the victory. And Renee, the PGA Championship even increased its purse to a record $19 million this year.
Yeah, for the 28-year-old, he also was able to gain 750 FedEx Cup points. He also climbed the standings in terms of overall world's rankings and things. So for him to have this opportunity, and then you see him even making history. I mean, since World War II, only Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus have matched the feat that he has of 15 wins and 3 majors before turning 30. He's in some great company. Nike had a tremendous ad, which I love to see. Right. It was Gatorade with Paige Beckers when she won a national championship. Anthony Edwards when he slayed dethroned, I should say, LeBron James at Adidas dropped theirs. And now Nike also dropped an incredible ad about him as the best in the world.
All right, and speaking of somebody getting paid, Mr. Irrelevant is now Mr. Paid. The 49ers signing Brock Purdy to a new 5-year deal with $181 million guaranteed. It's worth upwards of $265 million in total, which would be near the top of the quarterback market. Now, Renee, he does trail other quarterbacks in guaranteed money out there, but still good to see Brock Purdy getting this money.
It's such an incredible story, not just because he was the last pick in the 2022 draft, but also he's coming off an injury-plagued season, dealt with an elbow and a shoulder injury, threw a career-high 12 interceptions in his 15 games, and they didn't even make the playoffs for the first time ever as a franchise, yet they still felt like they could invest in him for the future. And this no-trade clause that Brock Purdy has also shows he wants to be there, and it gives him kind of the ability to control his future. So I think it's incredible that he's got this new deal where he earned a total of $2.6 million over the first 3 seasons in the league, and now has an average annual salary of $53 million. Yep. So big uptick for him. Great for their team to be able to show how they're going to invest in him, and also changes the quarterback market for others. Yeah. A lot of positives that come out of this deal.
Only a few other quarterbacks, Dak Prescott namely, making more money than Brock Purdy here. Finally, a uniform Michael Jordan wore for 17 games with the Bulls during the 92-93 NBA season was sold for $2.6 million at Heritage Auctions. Yeah, Jordan was shown in this jersey on the cover of the October 1993 Sports Illustrated. Now, Renee, while this is a lot, this is not the most expensive MJ collectible incredible. That is still his 1998 NBA Finals Last Dance jersey, which sold for $10 million back in 2022. Then a record for the most paid item for a sports memorabilia.
Yeah, and that record was broken by Babe Ruth's jersey from the called shot game in 1932 that sold for $24.1 million. Jerseys sell for a lot of money. And as you mentioned, you look at that 92-93 season, he won the scoring title. That was his third championship. People got to say, they now can say they're owning the jersey. He's sweating. He played in. I don't know if I'd pay that much money for a jersey.
I don't either, but it really seems like they had to really confirm that he actually wore these. They had to go back through every single one of the road games to make sure he actually wore this outfit.
I will say I like that Michael Jordan's being talked about now with the broadcast opportunities and the jersey for things other than just the usual GOAT conversation. We're talking about him in a whole different way.
Finally, in what was supposed to be an exciting opening tip-off for the new season, we'll have a rivalry game between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky has now turned into a league investigation involving racist comments hurled towards Angel Reese. This after a foul from Caitlin Clark set off a frenzy. So let's take a look at this and more in tonight's main event. And let's bring in front office sports reporter Colin Salau, who was at the game over the weekend. Colin, thanks so much for joining us. So tell us a little bit about what happened at the arena. Obviously, we know that this was a normal take foul from Caitlin Clark, but why did it get such a big reaction from fans?
I mean, it's this, so-called rivalry between these two, big stars in the league. And when you have any hard foul, against Caitlin Clark in general, there's been discussions about it, but specifically it was Clark toward Reese this time around. And it did seem quite like a push, and you could see that she pushed and obviously received the flagrant foul. You can talk about, whether you think that was deserved or not, but, you're in Indiana. I know, Angel Reese had been getting a reaction all game long. She was the only player booed during the player introductions. That's what I vividly remember. So it's very obvious why there was a reaction. In terms of what I've seen and read, the allegations, I can't, I didn't necessarily see anything on that, but there was definitely a reaction toward Reese even before the incident happened.
Interesting. And we have heard and seen the statements that have come out from the WNBA, the WNBPA. Both teams issued statements just around not having any tolerance for racism in the league specifically. It has that Larry Bird, Magic Johnson feel when you look at just the history and the rivalry that's going between these two. In your opinion, Colin, how can the WNBA continue to leverage the competition, the rivalry, without also maybe poking and continuing to further perpetuate some of the discriminatory, racist specific comments, as this has become a black versus white issue with Caitlin and Angel?
Yeah, it's a very nuanced question, right? Because it's clear that this is going to help them grow. I don't think, it's funny when you listen to Caitlin. I was at the game. She mentioned Angel Reese just one time in the pre and post game press conference, and it was to talk about how she's a good defender, essentially. And when she was asked about the rivalry, she said something to the lines of, "Oh, you guys like it." So it's funny that the two of them are kind of straying away from the rivalry, but the league is has put all 5 games on national television. So to answer your question directly, it's a very nuanced line. I think that they have to continue pushing it because it is part of the game, and it's very tricky to find like an exact way to avoid it other than to continue to spread awareness, at least from my vantage point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is there a way for the W to fix this? I mean, obviously this isn't just specific to the WNBA. Obviously soccer and other sports deal with racist and homophobic chants from a lot of fans that are out there. But is this an issue that the W feels like they need to get under control if they're going to grow this rivalry?
Yeah, I think it's not even just about growing the rivalry. It's about growing the league at large. Alyssa Thomas and Dejanay Carrington talked last year about how they experienced those comments. And we have the CBA coming up. That's definitely going to be a discussion there because it's not just going to be about players wanting more money. It's about them being treated the right way by the fans. And at the same time, I think the fans are going to get sick of the conversation as well if this continues to be around league. I've been seeing that on social media as well, where it's like, well, to what point is this going to be, exhausting to keep going back to? So I think that there needs to be, a little bit of a step back on all sides. And I'm interested to see how the WNBA solves it, even with the CBA coming up.
It's interesting because with that dominant 35-point win this weekend, we're not talking about Caitlin Clark's triple-double or the double-double by Aaliyah Boston. We're not talking about the Fever even passing 1 million Facebook followers, which is the first WNBA team to do so on any platform. We're talking about these comments and this issue. Why now, do you think, Colin? We've seen whether it's the Sue Bird, Dinah Taurasi, or on the other side, Cynthia Cooper, Shamika Holtzclaw, great legends on both sides in terms of demographics. But why now do you think that these two have stirred the pot so much in terms of causing this reaction?
I mean, of course, it's the added attention to the league and the fact that there is such a boost in attention that's related to these two players. But to your point, Monica McNutt has talked about it on ESPN so much. Are the media outlets going to be the ones to stir it the opposite way? Dewana Bonner became a third all-time leading scorer in that game and doesn't seem to be getting that much attention. So I think it's up to people like us to see if we can move the needle on the other side.
Well, these two teams play each other in just a few weeks, the first week of June. So we'll see what happens between now and then. Colin Salau, our front office sports reporter, joining us. Colin, thank you so much. And we have a lot more front office sports today coming your way right after this quick break.
Still underdogs at home, on the road, and all of these games. It's time for people to start understanding a legitimate team that has a chance not only to win the series against Cleveland, but also maybe even go all the way to the NBA Finals.
I think a lot of the focus has been on why the Cavs have not played particularly well. A lot of that is due to injury, of course, but I think that's taking too much credit away from what the Pacers have done.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Malaysia Pawali, who you guys know I am a huge fan, has decided to switch allegiances and stay in league. And now she's going to go play for Kim Mulkey. Her, Flau'jae Johnson in the backcourt. It's going to be interesting to watch. You wonder sometimes with roster construction, maybe too much is not too good.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Jason Tatum underwent surgery to repair a torn right Achilles tendon. That is obviously a season-ending injury, and that's long rehab. You're talking
that's a year.
That's a year.
I don't wish that on anybody. I don't. I hate that Achilles, knees and ankles. I don't like talking about them. I've said it a million times. But screw the Celtics.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back in our front office sports today. Baker and Renee here, and we're joined now by the leading Croatian professional tennis player who's ranked in the top 20 in career-high singles rankings, a silver medalist in singles for the Olympics, and we're happy to have Donna Vekic here on the show. Donna, so great to have you joining us here.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We want to jump into the exciting launch for Machado around the French Open for their new campaign, the Protect Your Craft series. You are the face of that campaign in its second iteration. How do you choose your partnerships that best align with building your brand and helping to promote these great companies like Machado?
I mean, it was a pretty natural alignment between Machado and me. Like their brand, Machado is dedicated to performance, adaptability, protection, which are all the things that I prioritize in my career.
Donna, let's talk here a little tennis here right now. Obviously, the schedule is pretty brutal. I mean, it seems like you have a big tournament happening pretty much all the time. What's your thoughts on this schedule? Are you exhausted by it? And do you wish maybe there was a little bit less tournaments going on?
It is pretty tiring. It's the schedule is brutal. We only have let's say a short off season, which is a couple of weeks in at the end of the year in November. For on the men's side, it's even worse. It's even shorter. So I think long term they might have to change something, but for right now it is what it is. I just have to find the balance between tournaments, practice, and rest and recovery. But it's not easy.
And what's crazy is, despite the hectic schedule you have, you found time. The shoot was in Miami for Machado, if I'm correct.
Wow.
How do you best prioritize and balance on courts building your career and off the court building your brand?
Well, we actually shot the shoot between two tournaments, so between Indian Wells and Miami Open. So I was actually in Miami anyway, but it was brutal. We were shooting the whole day. It was so hot, and as you know, Macaj is for like a little bit cooler weather, for rain. So I was dying, but it was in a way kind of a practice. So but the team, it was so much fun. We had a great time, and I saw the pictures. I really like them, and I hope everyone else will as well.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sure it will be great.
So gorgeous. Donna, we got to also talk about the fact that everybody doesn't know that tennis players like you are independent contractors. Yeah, you are part of the WTA, but you're on your own. There's no team besides you here. That's been a big conversation for a lot of players, that maybe they should create a union. I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's been a lot of talks right now because we're trying to get more prize money, more everything, but it's a complicated subject. We're gonna have to come back to this one when we have a bit more time. But yeah, it's in an individual sport, and we kind of have our own. Every player has their own team, and yeah, we go to these tournaments every other week, and yeah, it would be nice to have a little bit more say, but that's something we've been working on and we'll keep working on.
And I really like the fact that you're one, along with many other stars, that are championing helping to grow the game. Mm-hmm. And we've seen so much done in the sport, whether it's AI, replay cameras, technology in general, that's trying to change the fan experience. You've activated for more coverage, more talk around the sport. What are your thoughts on just the direction that tennis is going with such a global sport of personalities like yourself that are not getting that coverage, of the direction they're going to try to expand and reach more in their audience?
Well, yeah. Tennis is huge. It's like one of the most popular sports in the world, and it's about keeping it entertaining and fun for the spectators. And matches can be really long sometimes. Even me, to watch like men play 5 sets during a slam, it's a bit too long. So maybe they will change that in the future, but just to keep it a little bit more entertaining and fun. But also it varies from country to country. If you go to US Open, people are the crowd is loud, they're drinking, they're eating, they're very involved. Whereas if you go to Wimbledon, they're a bit more quiet, more respectful is not the right word, but they're more maybe well behaved. Look at now, if you look at Rome, for example, my man, the fans there are brutal.
Yeah, but I feel like, Donna, the WTA and women's tennis in general is just having this incredible moment. There's so many incredible players like you and Sabalenka and Coco Gauff. What do you sort of feel about this moment right now in women's tennis? Do you feel like this is one of the better times in this era for women playing this sport?
I think tennis in general, both women and men, has reached the highest level it's ever been played at. And the difference is now there's, it's not just like a couple of players in the top 10 that are really good. It's everyone is playing such a good level of tennis. And that's why you see these upsets. Let's say week in and week out, everyone can beat everyone, but everyone can also lose to everyone. So unless you're at 100% that day, you're gonna struggle to win.
Yeah, and I love the fact that as we circle back to this campaign that just launched, it's all about discipline, perseverance, deep commitment to excellence, the values that align with who you are as a person. As an athlete, you also are building a brand, you're building a name, you're building a connection with your audience. As we talk about the growth of sports specifically, how important is it for you to continue to find those ways to make sure your ethics, your values are shown and that people get a chance to learn more about who you are, Donna, beyond just the tennis star?
Yeah, tennis is only one part of me. Building your own brand really allows you to express yourself outside the court and connect with people in ways that they don't actually see. They see one person on court, but you can be someone completely else outside the court, and that's a great way to show people a little bit. And yeah, it gives you a voice and a platform, and that can open up opportunities.
Yes, Donna. Well, using your platform with your campaign with Machado, using your platform to help grow tennis and for so many other things, we thank you so much for jumping on our platform to talk about all the exciting endeavors you have going on, Donna. Best of luck to you moving forward as well.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Of course, absolutely. Donna Vekic, guys.
Ooh,
great
amazing.
guest today. And we've got more coming up on Front Office Sports today. After this quick break, we'll be right back.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They've won 7 in a row. They've been dominant at Citi Field. Lindor's been insane. Pete Alonso's been raking.
Griffin Canning, David Peterson, those guys have pitched really, really well. And when you put it together with that lineup, especially like you said, Lindor's been great. They've got the makings of something very special in Queens.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Derek Carr has called it a career after 11 NFL seasons.
I think they knew before the draft that they had to make a move at this point. And by the way, Derek Carr did have a pretty good career. Made as many Pro Bowls as Eli Manning. So based on that, he should go to the Hall of Fame like Eli Manning. Well, Eli Manning does have a couple rings at that point, but always wanted to take a shot at Manning, who should not actually be in the Hall of Fame. Shouldn't be questioned, an under 500 quarterback for his career. Stop the man.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And welcome back, friends, to Front Office Sports Today with Renee Washington. I'm Baker Machado, and the NFL owners are going to meet this week in Minnesota for votes on reseeding playoff teams, flag football, and if the tush push will live to see another season. So let's have Renee get her crystal ball and forecast what she thinks the owners are going to do. So let's start with this, Renee. The tush push ban, will it pass? Will we not see the tush push anymore?
Well, first of all, everybody that's a hater and mad that they can't execute the tush push as well as the Philadelphia Eagles, annoying. Multi-year extension for head coach Nick Sirianni with the Eagles, and part of it is because of the success of the tush push.
Yeah.
And there are 0 injuries that have come from it.
Yeah.
I actually have seen that 16 teams supported the ban back in April.
Yeah.
I do not think a tush push ban is going to happen, but Roger Goodell has hinted at going back to that pre-2004 era where you couldn't you were unable to push or pull a player. So they're gonna find a sneaky way to go around it. But teams that lost to the Eagles last year, Packers, are just salty.
So the crystal ball,
in my
is
opinion,
saying,
saying that the tush push is here to stay.
Ooh, interesting. I think you might be right. I don't know if the tush push has the votes to get rid of it, but there might be some sort of alteration with it in terms of how it's able to have it.
And that's what the Packers just came out with and saying they want to modify it because they know the tush push is not getting banned. So they wanted to just find another way to go about banning it. So no pushing or pulling players is what's going to pass, but the actual tush push is here to
All right,
stay.
the next big one, I think this has a good chance of passing. The NFL playoffs reseeding resolution. Essentially, it would guarantee if you have a better record, a better seeding, as opposed to if you win your division, that then depends on the seeding. What do you think is going to happen there?
Multiple sources apparently came out and said that it's unlikely this proposal is going to have enough votes to pass. But this expert is saying it's going to pass.
Ooh.
And I think the reason why is because the league wants what's best for fans.
Yeah.
And when you have extra incentive to not only win those divisional games, which is only like a third of the regular season, by the way, but those non-divisional games as well, it adds more excitement, it adds more drama. There's the reseeding by winning percentage versus just by winning your division. So I think it would make the league even more exciting for fans, which means more viewership, more talks, and that also means more money. So I actually could see them, yes, the league is going to look into reseeding as the new format.
I think you're right on this one. I mean, there should be no reason why the NFC South, which is always a dumpster fire every year of what 8-8 team is basically going to win, getting the 3 or 4 seed as a result of that. You should never incentivize these teams who, just because they win their really terrible division, all of a sudden is higher ahead of somebody else who might have a better record and might be a better overall football team, but plays in a tougher division.
And we've seen divisions where a 500 record or even less is enough to get into the playoffs. That's ridiculous. So by winning percentage, and then you can also tinker with now home playoff games and things like that.
I agree.
But the best team should be in the best position to get to the Super Bowl. So I'm all for it.
Last one. The NFL owners also going to be voting on if NFL players can participate in flag football, especially heading into the Olympics. What are you what is your crystal ball telling us, Renee?
All right, well, based on the league's work so far that they've done extensively to expand their global reach with their NFL flag program, that's in all 50 states. They have over 1,600 teams with over 620,000 athletes. It's going to pass. They've already been putting in the foundation of the NFL's work with the flag program, and they're going to continue that by allowing players to go to the Olympics. The tricky part is some have said that proposal only will allow 1 player per team to go, as well as 1 international player. So I think, yes, it's going to happen. There's going to be players that get the opportunity to play in the Olympics, which football players don't get that chance. But I think they're not going to like the ruling that there's going to be some, parameters around it.
And I think the owners are going to be crazy about preventing injuries, and because there's too much of an investment for the regular season that they don't want these guys to get injured for flag football. So I think there's going to be big questions with that, but I think they're going to love the amount of money and attention that this is going to get, especially for the Olympics. All right, let's see what's bubbling over at the FOS water cooler, and it actually is bubbling over on Twitter. So what do NBA superstars not in the playoffs do with their spare time? They post on social media. Giannis did a Q&A over on X this weekend, answering important questions like his favorite perfume, Joe Malone, Cypress and Grapevine, by the way, his top 5 NBA, all top 5, and Florida apparently makes him happy, and New York, his favorite city to play on the road. Of course, all those getting the most attention, but what did you see that you liked the most that he tweeted?
I like the personality we got to see from Giannis, because Kevin Durant coming out tweeting about how he wanted fans to stop begging him to go to the Charlotte Hornets is like classic Kevin Durant. He's always got the X fingers. But for Giannis to come out talking about his favorite perfume, of course he got Miami Heat fans excited because he said Florida is one of his favorite. All the cities in Florida, mind you, Orlando's in Florida, are his favorite to visit. That doesn't mean he wants to play there. But then even like the road trip of road games being in New York, that could be the Knicks or the Nets.
Right.
But I will say I liked his gorilla answer because he put some dogs in this one. He went with height, he went with size, and that's quite a list.
That is a list. Steve Adams, Zubac, Zach Edey, and Joker will be the 4 that would beat the Silverback Gorilla. I 100% agree with that. All right, guys, we got a great week ahead. We're going to preview the NBA Conference Finals on Tuesday. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.